Alrighty, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to the first regular season edition of the Dome Field Advantage podcast. Yes, everyone, it is finally week one of the regular season. Yes, it was fun talking the preseason stuff, the last three episodes, but none of that counted. So this is the real thing. This finally counts. The Saints take on the Titans this week inside the Superdome, that hostile environment that I absolutely love being a part of. I was a part of it for 16 years. Unfortunately, I you know I already gave my piece on my first episode why we gave them up and whatnot. But yes, that hostile environment of the Superdome is something I absolutely love. And I said on my preseason episodes I was going to do my best to bring on a guest of the opposing team for every episode, and I succeeded week one already. So please, without any further ado, welcome my guest, a big Tennessee Titans fan, Justin Patterson. Justin, what's good, my dude?
What's going on, Dylan? Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely, dude. It's absolutely not a problem. Tim is actually the one who set this all up, so I really got to thank Tim for being the one for setting this up. But real quick, before we hop into today's game, just give everyone like kind of like a little recap about yourself. How you got into the NFL and how you got into the Tennessee Titans.
Oh man, yeah. Big shout out to TK for getting me on here with you today. So about 2007 is really the year like I got into football. I was playing football, um, and one of my coaches had told me I was really struggling. Struggled on the field. I'd never played before, uh, and he wanted to get me, I guess, more invested into the game because I never played, so I didn't know any of the rules or anything like that. So he said, I want you to watch a game on Sunday." Uh, so Sunday rolls around, and where I was living at 1 o'clock, I turn on a game. Happens between the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just watching the Titans and how they played football that game, turned on the game. The score, I think, was 30 to 16, and from that point, like Tennessee just didn't let up, continue to score at will. What ended up happening that year, went 13-3, number one seed in the AFC. And just after seeing how they played, I was like, if I had to pick a team that I wanted to be like, or a player that I want to be like, I was like, everyone on this Titan squad. You know, that's who I inspired to be. So from there, just I had been a huge Titans fan. Started to do some research on the history of it, and that's how I'm here.
Yeah. So what was the reaction to taking Will Levis in the second round? Do you think you guys got a steal out of him?
Well, I wasn't really high on Levis coming out of the draft, just like I wasn't really high on Malik Willis last year. I thought that he was a project. I thought Will Levis, um, watching him in college, there was a point in time last year. I can't remember what game I was watching, but Kentucky was down in the fourth quarter, and I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity for Will Levis. If the buzz was you could be the number one overall pick, and you got 2 minutes to go down the field and win the game. And so I was really invested into that, and I thought, yeah, if you're going to be a top draft pick, then this is what you should be able to do, right? This is what fans should be able to see. And I remember that final drive just being horrible, where they hardly could move the ball. I was like, I don't see the buzz. And while we're saying this guy's a first round talent, nonetheless, let's talk about him going first overall. So I didn't really agree with the pick. I didn't believe we should have gave up any more draft capital to move up in the second round to get him. But I also understand how the NFL is now, where you have to have a quarterback on Sunday, just especially in the AFC, with how loaded it is, and everyone's trying to find the next Josh Allen. I was like, well, that's sort of what we had aimed to do with Malik Willis, and I don't really think that we gave him a fair crack his rookie year. And don't get me wrong, his numbers were they were horrible. The team itself, took steps back with Malik Willis, but again, we all knew he was a project coming out of college. So to expect a whole lot in his rookie year, I thought was a little rough, and I thought Malik was a lot better than what people might have given him credit for. Anyone that might not be a Titans fan, if you really watched some of the games, and namely the Kansas City game, it stuck out to me. Where Malik Willis, he showed me that he could actually be a franchise quarterback. And I know that the stat line was horrible, like 5 for 12. But in that game, he had about like 6 drop passes that would have definitely changed the game. And he just went everywhere he should have went with the ball. And just unfortunately, receivers couldn't make plays. But here we are, we're in a dogfight with Kansas City, who eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. And I thought, if fans really looked at that film or really watched that game, I thought I saw everything that I needed to see from Malik Willis, that he could be the guy one day. We sort of fizzled out towards the end of the year, bad offensive line, just injuries caught up. But so I didn't necessarily think that was a great need when you had a guy that pretty good developmental prospect. And he's taken some steps from what I saw in the preseason. Ultimately, I think Will Levis is probably right there where Malik Willis is now, coming in as a rookie. So I think that sort of went a long way. But he had played in a pro style offense, so he's a little more ready for it. So we'll just wait to see. I'm excited about the prospects of both of them. I think if we can develop them, you're looking at an RG3 Kirk Cousins situation where if you can get both of the guys developed, you can potentially flip one for some trade capital, or if one doesn't work out, you got another one you can fall back on. So I think that really worked well for the Redskins back then when RG3 didn't work out. Yeah, Kirk Cousins you can go to, and crazy to look at it, Kirk Cousins is still going, while a lot of those guys in his class, they aren't. So I think that's what you have to look at. And anytime you talk about drafting a quarterback, it's like playing the lottery. You're scratching as many of those scratch off tickets until it hits. So let's wait and see. I think ultimately, just really going to depend on how we develop them. And Mike Vrabel hasn't really showed me that he can develop a young quarterback. And I think just how he is as a coach, that he wants to prove that.
All right. Well, Justin, this is going to be a fun show. I'm absolutely excited to dive right into this game. But before we do that, before we get into today's game, we have a brand new show coming to our network this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Here is a sneak peek at the new show, real quick. That's right. Outrage Control is coming to the network this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Kayla, we got Dango as the co-hosts of each other. They've been hopping on with Tim for Dynamite watch-alongs, Dynamite reviews, and now they're getting their own show on the network. So absolutely excited to see what they got going this Sunday. I made the logo for it, so of course I want to tune into something that I have the product of making their logo. So of course it's always going to be a fun time. I can't wait to see what they got in store for us this Sunday. But getting into Saints Titans, and just before we get into the game, breaking news came out a couple of hours ago that third string quarterback Jake Haener was suspended for the first 6 games of the season for violating the NFL's policy against PEDs. And I'm honestly surprised because this guy's not going to see the field at all this season. We got Derek Carr, we got Jameis backing him up. And then it kind of caught me by surprise, even before the news came out, that Taysom Hill was moved onto that third string spot for the quarterback when he was originally listed as our third string tight end. So now that was a head scratch, just a head scratch of a move, but now I'm seeing why with the news coming out. He did release a statement a little while ago saying that he didn't know what he took was an illegal substance for the NFL, but I mean, he's not going to see the field at all this year anyway, so I don't see it as a total loss. And then getting into the injury report, I'm not sure if you have access to y'all injury report. I didn't see
Mhm.
it.
Yep, I have looked at it. Yep.
Let's see. For the Saints, surprisingly, very small injury report. Uh, let's see. Classified as did not practice was wide receiver Traquan Smith, which honestly, if he misses, I don't care. This guy is not someone I want on the field right now. We have a good receiving room, and I don't think Traquan needs to be there. Safety JT Gray, who's more on like the special teams. He was named a captain for special teams today. Running back Kendra Miller, I think he'll be all right. He is going into the second string spot with Alvin Kamara dealing with his suspension. Tight end Ryan Ramczyk was limited. Marshawn Lattimore was also limited, but Nick Underhill said that he was spotted at practice doing his warmups and he did participate. And tight end Jimmy Graham was also limited, but Ramczyk and Graham were just limited on rest. So I think we'll be okay. It's one of the smaller injury reports that I've seen going into an opening game. So the smaller, the better. I don't think anyone's really is dealing with that bad of an injury. I haven't heard nothing too bad about it. Uh, did you have y'all injury report up?
I do. I do. Yeah. So we got Trey Avery. He was limited today. Dylan Radens, Harold Landry. They're both limited, which is it's sort of surprising to see them. I guess ready to go this early in the season. They're both coming off ACLs. It was definitely head scratching, eye opening when they removed Dylan Radens from PUP right before initial cut downs and moved him to the active roster. I didn't think he would be ready until about week 6. So really good depth piece. Harold Landry reports from camp. What we've seen, he seems like he's ready to go, which is huge for us. He's just a standout in that pass rush and what we were able to do. So to see both of them limited's not really a big surprise. This is actually the smallest injury report I've seen for the Titans in a very long time. Other than that, we had Traylon Burks. He had been dealing with knee injury since joint practices with the Vikings. He'd been full all week, which again that was refreshing. But I thought that was the route that we were going to go. So he sort of sat out the rest of the preseason. And I think that was just more of a precautionary move. Couldn't afford to not have him in the lineups with Kyle Phillips going down. So big to see that Arden Key and Will Levis, they were all full participants in practice this week. So
Yeah, always nice to see an injury report be small. It doesn't matter if it's a defending team, our team. I just never want to see an injury for anybody. So it's good to see uh just it being short. Let's hop into the chat real quick. It's going crazy already. Justin, what's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in. Of course, the man responsible for this one, Tim, thanks for tuning in, man. Thanks for making this one happen, dude, because I was struggling to find a Titans fan. So uh always good. My co-host from the World Elite podcast and the host of SAT Sports, Marcus, thanks for tuning in, dude. I got my mom also tuning in, my biggest supporter. Of course, the AFC, yes, like you were talking about the Titans, the AFC, yeah, the AFC is absolutely stacked. So I'm happy we're in the NFC. NFC is not looking the greatest, so the AFC is absolutely just loaded. Uh, of course, got JD as well. She goes on tomorrow for her payback and all out recap as well. And then of course got my sister in the chat as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll get back to the chat after a while. But let's hop into our first topic of Sunday's game. And we're gonna get to our key offensive and defensive player that we're looking out for. And of course, for one, you're my guest, so I will let you go first. Who is your key offensive and defensive player for the Titans that you're looking out for this weekend?
So offensively, I really wanted to say Chig Okonkwo. I think he is going to be a difference maker, but I don't think he's going to be the one name that you want to look for on offense. I think it's going to surprise you. And it's Tajay Spears, the backup running back out of Tulane, coming in as a rookie this year. Man, this guy is electrifying. I did not like it when we picked him because of the medical. I didn't think running back was a great position of need for us. And I mean, I've definitely ate that. Just seeing what he's done and been able to do in camp, and then what he's done in the preseason. I do think he is just going to be a matchup nightmare. So I think he's definitely going to help us open up the offense, give Henry that break that he's going to need. I definitely think he's going to be the X factor on our offense on Sunday.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Got Kayla also tuning in to other co-hosts for Outrage Control for this Sunday. Everyone tune into that one. But yeah, my key offensive player is Kendry Miller. He is on the injury report right now, but I think he is slated to play. And the reason why I didn't pick Jamal Williams is because we all know it, for what he's capable of. He was the touchdown leader last year in Detroit. We brought him over to New Orleans to fill in that backup role for Kamara, but Kamara is out the first 3 games of the season. So I'm expecting Jamal Williams to pick up a huge workload from Derek Carr. So what I want to see from Kendry Miller is if he can fill in that Alvin Kamara role. Can he be that receiving back? Can he be the one to come out from the backfield and go out for a screen pass? Can he be that receiving back to get yards from receptions? A few other guys, if I'm going to mention a few others, I want to see Michael Thomas finally play a game. This guy is someone who I look at as one of the best in the league when he's healthy, and that's when healthy. And we haven't seen healthy Michael Thomas in quite some time. So I really want to see what he's going to do Sunday and hopefully last the whole season, because if he does, then I think this Saints team will be dangerous going forward. Defensive wise, I'm looking at Paulson Adebo, our other corner lining up from Marshawn Lattimore. Now, the reason why I'm picking him is because he had a great rookie season. He got slid into that starting spot in his rookie year, but then he starts the sophomore year of his NFL season, and he has a sophomore slump. A lot of these rookies deal with sophomore slumps, and he dealt with it pretty bad. He was getting reps taken away from who was he going to take it from Alante Taylor, who just won the slot corner spot with Bradley Roby getting released. So now Paulson Adebo is getting that another opportunity. He's lining up from Lattimore again. So really want to see what he's going to do. I'm not sold, and this is nothing, against the Titans, but I'm not sold on the passing offense right now. Derrick Henry is that guy for that offense. And so for one, I'm not sold on Tannehill too much. He hasn't really, given me that thing to say, oh yeah, he's a proven quarterback. He can go out there and do this. Derrick Henry's always been that guy to really make that offense look great. But now adding DeAndre Hopkins there, now that question comes in if Tannehill can be that proven quarterback. So I want to see if Lattimore, if he lines up with Hopkins this week, if he's going to line up with him, and if Lattimore can be that proven corner. So a lot of questions going into this weekend. Next topic is keys to a victory. What does your team need to do in order to defeat the Saints? For a Titans team coming into a hostile Superdome week 1, the crowd is ready to go in this one. What do the Titans need to do in order to come in there and defeat the Saints?
Well, there's a lot of things that we're going to have to do right, but just to sort of quote Mike Vrabel, is we're going to have to play Titans football, and that's just do the small things right, and don't go out there and beat ourselves. We talked about Tannehill, whether he's proven or not, and for me, in his entire run in Tennessee, and I know I could be with the minority, but I just have never felt like he was that guy. I never felt like that. I felt like Tannehill just inherited a very good situation. When you look at the team that he took over, Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, defense was budding at the right time. Defense had been good for a couple of years, but really started to gain notoriety. And he just sort of managed that situation. And then Derrick Henry, became Derrick Henry, the one that we all know now as King Henry. And that's sort of been that run where I haven't seen Tannehill so much beat teams as much as he's benefited from a great situation with a great run game, great defense, great play action pass set up by Henry. And a couple years ago, when we were number one seed in the AFC, when you tell we went all in, making the move for Julio Jones, I thought that was the year, if any year, we were going to be able to do it. And I remember telling all my friends, I was like, hey, if we're going to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be this year. Like this is the window. And just that year itself, it was horrible. And again, we were the number one seed, but if you really watched Tannehill play that year, that's when I really was like, okay, this is the Tannehill that I expected us to get. Even games like where we blew out the Chiefs. I think it was week 5, week 6, and if you really looked at it, Tannehill played a horrible game. At one point in time, he threw an interception to a defensive lineman on a pass that you're just like, did you really make that throw? And from there, we hadn't been able, as a veteran quarterback, he hadn't been able to really sort of steer the ship behind bad offensive line, the receiver core not being what it needed to be. So I hadn't seen that, just guy that could sort of keep us steady. So it's been Derrick Henry and the defense, and Tannehill has just sort of been there. So, yeah, that's definitely a question mark. So can he play adequate football with what we think is going to be an improved situation? Got a brand new offensive line. It usually takes mid-season to get those guys rolling and new playmakers around them. Everyone's like, well, if he has elite company, then you get elite play out of Tannehill. Well, he had two of the very best receivers in all of football and had his worst statistical year as a Titan. So I'm not really sure DeAndre Hopkins is going to fix that. But I do think it's definitely a good addition. Have Hopkins there and Traylon Burks. I think he is just going to be a star. So it's really, can we do the basic things right? Can we take care of the football? Can we stop the run? Can we cover down the field? Secondary has struggled past couple of years. We're just secondary last year. We were ranked 31st against the pass. And it's sort of taken away from I think a dominant as a front seven that you're going to see in the entire NFL. And I think that it's going to be better this year. So I really do like what we're doing up front in the front seven. But it's can the secondary hold up, and can we not turn over the football on offense? And Derrick Henry can't do it on his own. He's 29 years old, going to be 30. It's coming off season. So if we're gonna do anything, this is probably going to be the last year that we really talk about the Titans as being a competitive team. And if we don't really gel this year, I definitely see a complete rebuild.
So do you see any time this season that the Titans turn to Will Levis instead of Tannehill? Because I talked about this last night on another show. I just kind of want to get it from a Titans fan perspective.
So I was talking about that earlier today. When you look at the first 4 games of our season, it's a killer stretch. So we start with New Orleans on Sunday, turn around, play the Chargers at home next week, play the Browns. Then you have Joe Burrow coming to town. That is a killer 4-week stretch where you're looking at we could be 1-3, 0-4. I think the ceiling to that would be a 2-2 start, and the schedule doesn't really get any easier. So I think looking down at it, there are games that we can definitely compete in outside of the Saints in the NFC South. Every team in the NFC South should be winnable game. Tampa Bay, don't expect much from them. Carolina, we know where they're at. Atlanta, we know where they're at. You got 2 games against the Colts, should easily be able to win those games. 2 games against the Texans, and it's like, what can you do against Jacksonville, and then can you steal a win somewhere from some of these teams in the AFC North that we're going to see, possibly Seattle. So I think the first 4 games, if we start off slow, I know a lot of fans will want us to go ahead and make that switch and just, hey, let's blow it up and see what we got. But I really wouldn't get discouraged, because later on in the season, there are opportunities for us to, possibly compete for the division. And that's what you're going to have to do this year in the AFC. Just because I think we know what that field's going to look like. You're going to see the Chargers in the postseason. You're going to see the Chiefs, the AFC North. We don't know if they're going to put in 2 or 3 teams. So you got to win your division in the AFC. That's just where it's at. So, first 4 weeks going to be pretty tough, but it will be a little more manageable. So it really depends on how we want to approach this season, whether, you turn it over to them and say, hey, let's just go on and pack it in and see what we got. And I definitely don't see the Titans being competitive if that's the route that we take after the first 4 weeks. I'm forward thinking where I say, okay, the first 4 weeks is tough, but stick it out with our veteran core and see what we get, and just battle attrition, because 18 weeks, long season, a lot of football to be played.
Yeah, because when you break down the divisions, obviously the NFC South, I think, is the more winnable divisions for the Saints. I mean, just looking into how you broke it down, Tampa Bay is not what they were. They turned to Baker after having Brady in those glory years for the few years that they had him. Looking at Carolina going in with a rookie quarterback, they did add a few offensive pieces, but I don't think that'll be enough to win that division. And Atlanta's Atlanta. We all know Atlanta, how they are. I don't know if they're rolling with Heineke, if they're rolling with Desmond Ritter. I mean, really and truly, I don't care who they roll with because it's the Falcons, so I'm not expecting much out of them.
They could go deeper and not go far.
Yeah, I know. If you look at another division, though, I think is winnable. I think it's the AFC South. And I think if the Titans can contain the Jaguars, because I early on did pick the Jaguars to win that division because just those pieces over there, even adding Calvin Ridley, I think was huge for them. He did great things in Atlanta. He torched us every time he played us. So him going over there playing with a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, I think they'll be that force to be reckoned with. But if the Titans, if they can get past them, then I think it is a winnable division for them because of the pieces they have over there. So I wouldn't give up hope just yet. If y'all start off slow with Tannehill, I don't think I would make that call to Levis yet. It would be that more later in the season if the Titans maybe have that struggle, they're out of it. They're out of that postseason contention, and then you turn to Levis, see what he got, and then you make that call next season. Because really and truly, I wasn't too sold on Levis either. I remember draft night they did that thing. I don't know if you're a sports betting guy, but they did that thing where they boosted his odds to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
And DraftKings made some money that night because so many people took the bait on it, and he even go in the first round. So I wasn't one of those who did it. So I wasn't stupid enough to do it. But keys to a victory for the Saints, getting back to it. I got 3 of them, and I think it's 3 pretty obvious ones. I think the first one is to play a clean game. The Saints are known to shoot themselves in the foot. It'll be a close game, and then at the end they get this pass interference call that sets up a game-winning field goal for the other team, or they'll just do a dumb, stupid penalty that's going to cost them in the end. So I think if you play a disciplined game and you go in there and you just play good football, I think you win. And it just all comes down to penalties. I've said it before, and this is the biased fan coming out of me. I believe ever since the no calls against the Rams, seeing the retaliation that came from Saints fans to the NFL, to Goodell, I feel like the calls go against us a lot more than what they did before the no call. So it's just a biased fan coming out of me saying that. But I mean, the Saints are known for penalties, and I'm hoping we play a clean game. Second one is to avoid turnovers. It's always turnovers. The Saints last year to get the turnovers, they were the more and more causing the turnovers against themselves, and it cost them in so many games. And my third one, I think, is probably the most obvious one if you're playing the Tennessee Titans, and that is to stop there. The Saints are known to have a great running defense, and they've been exposed a few times when they play the Eagles. I remember Jalen Hurts absolutely killed them on the ground. Same thing with Miles Sanders when he was in Philly. Killed us. The Saints defense cannot get exposed the way they did against Philly. I think maybe last year that happened, or the year before. It can't happen, So if you can contain Derrick Henry, I think that's one of your main keys to winning a football game if you're playing Derrick Henry. because this guy is known. It doesn't matter how old the guy is; he's built like a truck, and he will take you down. I mean, ask when he played for the Bills, Josh Norman. Yeah, ask him. You know
Yeah.
that picture goes. Just I mean, for one, that picture's everywhere. I mean, that stiff arm from hell. I just want the Saints to avoid being like a picture that goes around the internet of taking a stiff arm from Derrick Henry. So I think if you achieve all three of those keys, I think you win. And I'm hoping there's no problems. I'm hoping there's no injuries. I think if you avoid injuries, you avoid the penalties, you can contain Derrick Henry. I think it's a lot easier doing what people make it out to be. So I don't know. It's gonna be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. You know, the Titans are a good opener coming to the Dome. I'm happy it's in the Dome, for one. So last but not least, we get to our final topic, and that is picks and score predictions. The more fun part of the show, and we'll really see the biased fan come out of us for this one, because I always said on previous shows, it doesn't matter if the Saints are 0-10, they're playing a 10-0 team. I'll always pick the Saints, obviously. So who you got, Justin? And give me a score prediction.
Yeah, so I am gonna go the bias route, and I'm gonna go with Tennessee to win 23-20.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair score, because Titans have came to us before. I think it was when Mariota was there and they won in overtime, and I was there. It was a tough one to watch. The Saints played absolutely horrendous that day, and yeah, I don't want to go
Laney
through it
Walker,
again.
that was the
Yeah,
double doink catch.
I remember that, and I was there to watch it, and just the silence in the Superdome. You don't hear the Superdome that quiet ever. So I'm also going to go to bias route, and I'm going to go with the Saints, but I got more of, I wouldn't say a lopsided score, but it's not that field goal victory. I got 24-13. I think the Saints have a great offensive day. I think Michael Thomas and Derek Carr have a great day, and you're going to see more production from that tight end side. We haven't had that reliable tight end in quite some time. And that's until we had Jawan Johnson, who had a breakout year last year. And he played this way with Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. So I want to see how he's going to play with someone like Derek Carr. And we also have Foster Moreau, who played in Vegas with Derek Carr, LSU product. And then the return of Jimmy Graham. This is his first regular season game back in the Superdome. He had a great, just fantastic game in that last preseason game. It was a loss, but he played fantastic in it. So if we can get all those guys going, we can see a production. Miller, Jamal Williams. I think if you have a good offensive day, you win. So I'm going Saints 24-13. I'm hoping for a good game, though. I'm hoping no injuries on both sides of the ball. I don't have the problem with the Titans, so I don't think much trash talk will happen during the game or anything like that. It's something I'm used to of playing the Bucks, the Falcons, Panthers, or even some more NFC teams. So I'm for sure looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Oh yeah, definitely defensive minded coaches. So it's really a big one. It's a big opener. It's a good opener for both teams, I think.
Absolutely. But that is all the time that we have on today's episode of the Dome Field Advantage podcast. Justin, for one, thank you for coming on, man. I know we went on a little bit later than what we were hoping, but it was still a fun show. We got done before our next show goes on, but let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Oh man, you can follow me on Facebook, and I'm on what is previously known as Twitter. Follow me on X, AEE Justin. I've been there since day one. Been with TK since day one. You guys need me, you know where to find me. It's not hard to find me.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter, X. It don't matter. It's a hard habit to break calling it Twitter. So yeah, you can find me on there at Dylan Aber _ subscribe to our YouTube channel where you're watching this video at right now. We have a lot of great content, of course, later tonight, or I should say in the next, I say maybe 10-15 minutes, we have the AEW Dynamite watch along with Tim and a few others. And then right after that is the AEW Dynamite review show. So right after you watch the show, actually watch them review it, give their thoughts and whatnot. It's going to be a fantastic night on the wrestling side of things. We have a lot of great content coming up this week. I know, like I mentioned, tomorrow we have WrestleBread. JD's going on giving her review for Payback and All Out. So more wrestling stuff. I mentioned Outrage Controls going on this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And there's been a word I've been avoiding on this show. This network is making some changes. We are in the process of making some major changes. It's not my power to really say what's going on right now, but something exciting is coming, and I have a little sneak peek at what is to come. So check it out. That's right. So that's all I can give right now without any context given. Soon enough, an announcement will be made, but until then, that is for us to know and for y'all to obviously find out. But you can catch me this upcoming Monday. I will be welcoming in my backstage producer, actually, Jordan, my co-host of the World Elite Podcast, will be coming in to recap this game of the Saints and Titans. Hopefully, we're talking about a Saints win and we're in a better mood than we are when the Saints lose. So hopefully, it's a good show, but nonetheless, it's going to be a fun time. Then, of course, Wednesday, I will be doing my preview of the Saints Monday night matchup against the Carolina Panthers. I do have a guest in mind. Hopefully, we can make this happen. But until then, Justin, this was a fun time. Hope to have you back sometime, even if it's not Saints Titans. We can always just hop on, talk some football and whatnot. So,
absolutely, yeah. absolutely,
yeah. So everyone, I hope y'all had a fantastic Wednesday. Hope y'all have a great rest of the week. But until then, guys, y'all have a good one.